Good morning. I don't know what day it is. I think it's the 7th of March. I was just thinking about my story and how it all started with coincidences that were customized to me. And, any of my friends or family, they'll tell you themselves. They'll be like, "But James, you just never told them what to do." I can't tell you how many times I fucking heard that. And that's, I guess, like the major difference is that, on my journey, nothing was going to stop me. And then when I got to the part of prophecy where, it's like white horse or, lion or, 1260 days and all that stuff. When you see coincidences in the Bible, then it even further locks in your mind. You're saying to yourself, God's not wrong, right? Like in the Bible's not wrong. So then if I'm matching all this stuff, that means in my mind, I'm like, this thing, I'm on easy street. I don't have to, not on an easy street. That's the wrong way to say it, but I'm comfortable that this thing has a happy ending. And when I tell you that, it's sort of like that comfort in your mind, even though you have to keep pushing forward and like, okay, I'll keep going. You can say to yourself, well, it's written in the Bible, so I know it's going to work out well. But the thing is, at the beginning of the journey, with the Michael Mann cinematography, DJ Falcon, Tom Petty dying, all that stuff, before it went to the religious route, I was clinging on to those coincidences then too, on blind faith. And since they led me to the coincidences in the Bible, which I know work out because they're written in the Bible, otherwise God's wrong, you can't falsify God, then anyone can do this. All the Mashiach is the first guy to go through the system, and then at the end hit all the Bible prophecy and say, dude, this shit's real. Well, future people can take their coincidences in their lives and use them and know that all of those coincidences are leading them somewhere too. Just like my initial coincidences before the Bible stuff were leading me to the Bible stuff. All the Bible stuff does is act as a confirmation that my hypothesis of following every coincidence panned out. So that means that as you experience a coincidence in your life, you can be like, this is going to work out because it worked out for him, so it's going to work out for me. So all you have to do is like, nah, there's a coincidence there, so it's divine, so God's got me. Now I got to keep moving forward and all this stuff, but I think you see what I'm saying. It's that sort of, it confirms that each one of them is divine. And I have no clue what paths he's going to take everyone else on. It's going to be awesome. But it makes sense from a utilitarian standpoint that you want to have someone go through the process first as a guinea pig, and then let everyone, or it shows everyone else that it's not some fool's errand, but who are you going to get to go through? And this is where I want to pat myself on the back. Imagine you're God. Now, none of us are God. I'm not God, you're not God. But imagine you're God. You're looking at the player board, okay? You got a little Earth there. It's the only thing with life on in the whole universe. And then you got the whole universe. It's blank. You got Donald Trump saying, okay, well, we need walls on this little arc. And then we also need to militarize the whole zone. So it makes sense that right now is like the time. It's like the inflection point in the game where, it's setting the stage for the next 1,000 years, right? Obviously, we don't want to militarize space. Obviously, it's time to come up with a peace deal. So how do you give people, let's see. Well, there's two things I would say here. How do you apply a pressure that regardless of what country you are from, regardless of what country any person's from, it's going to affect them. Climate change slices through all the countries. It doesn't matter where you're from or what you are, you're going to be affected. The second thing is religion. Whether you believe in God or don't believe in God, that's a belief. Everyone has a belief there. So if you have two factors, religion God or whatever, and climate change that slices through all borders. So it allows every human being, or it connects every human being to a choice. And it's, do we want to strike a peace deal globally for the first time in human history? Or do we want to continue down a path that, with research, scientific studies, all that shit, 97% of scientists agree, the Earth's heating up. That's it. So, I guess it's God's way of saying, it's God's way of being like, everyone has this choice to make, okay? And it was all in a divine plan the whole time. And the only reason I'm here explaining that decision to make is because it's ordained by God. And at the same time, I'm the guy who followed all the coincidences stubbornly, because no one tells me what to do. But you can do this as with God. He could have done this with anyone. He could have laid out the whole plan with anyone. He can do anything. He can put any coincidence in front of any person he wants. So who would you choose? Now, this is where it's very important to separate, the fact that I'm telling you this story. Just imagine me as a unit. Like, that's how I'm thinking about myself. It's like, imagine you're God. You're like, you can choose a unit, right? Any unit you want on the whole board to deliver this. Who are you going to choose? Now, that sounds like I'm going down an arrogant path, but if you listen to me for a second and think logically, you can choose anyone. Anyone. So here, this is the unit he chose. All right, this is the important part. You have to be able to prove this. Court documents, filings, video footage, testimony, books, all this shit. He chooses a guy, right, who is partying on blow, all right, who has a, I'm not trying to sound stuck up. It's like, because it's not. It's like, you choose the most backwards guy possible. Not the most backward guys possible, but how do I say it? It's like, okay, this is my objective going into making Truth Rabbit. It was, okay, I'm going to tell the truth in every video because the girl's smarter than me. She loves movies, so I'm going to take all the footage that I'm filming all over the world and make her a movie. All right? I love Acid Tongue because I feel like, guy's the number one songwriter in the world. Okay, so I'm going to blow them up. Also, rock and roll music doesn't even chart anymore. And since Guy's so good, I feel like we can save rock and roll. And the girl's an atheist, so I'm going to try to prove the existence of God in the movie too. And I'm going to get this broadcasted by trying to win the Cannes Film Festival using phone footage on my phone. Now imagine you're one of God's eyes, not God's eyes, like one of his scouts, right? And you're monitoring everyone on Earth. Everyone's going about their day, doing their thing. I'm going to college, going to work, doing X, Y, and Z. And then you got a guy like me. No kids, okay? I got credit, not a ton left, but I got credit. I go through a divorce, or I'm finishing a divorce, so that's done, okay? No one tells me what to do. All I do is listen to music, and then I meet this girl who gets plucked out of my life at first because she had a year-long trip. Then I, of course, torpedo the whole thing because that's just what I do. God knew that as well. But imagine this. I wind up in this situation. I'm like, okay, I got to make a movie for a girl who loves movies. Got to tell the truth. I'm going to record it all. I'm going to save rock and roll. I'm going to blow up the band. And I'm going to win the Cannes Film Festival. I'd be like, if I saw this unit on the board, like, hey, God, we got a live one over here. Like, what you got? Well, I mean, here's the story. Guys, he's trying to do X, Y, Z, and he's trying to save rock and roll music. It's like, that's my guy. Like, that's my guy. I can choose anyone. That's my guy, okay? And then at any cost, this guy is going to run at following every coincidence because he feels like there's meaning, because he's trying to save rock and roll. He's trying to blow up the band. And all that. There's got to be meaning to this. And he just keeps going. He just so happens to stumble upon the actual system, right, that God is trying to use to arrange us. It makes total sense. Imagine you can shift anything on this game board. You're never going to come down and people be able to see you, but you can manipulate anything you want, right? So how do you influence someone, a human being's decisions? Well, you make something weird happen, like that little fucking light or that panel over there. That car breaks down. There's a big fucking thunderstorm, or wherever, a big fucking thunderstorm. You can do anything, but you're never going to show up. So once that happens, it catches the human nearby. It catches his or her attention, or that human's attention, and that's it. Just a coincidence happened. It catches your eye, and then God's like, he's basically baiting us, not in a bad way, but just saying, come on, come this way. And that's it. Every coincidence in your life is God manipulating it because he exists. He's trying to bring us to, our best paths. But he's got rules. Not many. He's got 10. Just 10. You're like, how can you have an entire system with just 10 rules? Because he's perfect. He's divine. He did it. You cannot quantify the number of laws. There was a panel, a U.S. government-sponsored panel that tried to quantify the number of laws in the U.S. You want to know what they came back with? What was their final number? Unknown. It's like, well, what kind of law is it? Well, it's like we got legislative code, but then we got like city laws. They didn't know. God did it in 10. He did in 10 what humans couldn't do with an unknown, that large, unknown number. He's the king of the jungle. So when he chose to bait me, he knew, he's like, that's the guy. He's never going to give up. Not because he was like specking me. He just was able to fast forward into the future because he's God and say, this guy's never going to give up. He's going to go on a crazy ass journey, recording it all, there's 3 U.S. presidents associated with this story. For real. One of the top Hollywood directors and cinematographers. The #1 booking agent, right? The producer on the 2013 Grammy Award-winning Album of the Year. The #1 trumpeter, the creative director at Jazz at Lincoln Center, the #1 trumpeter in the fucking world. Let's see, who else? Oh, the #1 Vedic astrologer. Not that I'm endorsing astrology, but that was part of it. And just whatever else. And I'm a guy that no one sees coming. It's perfect from God's standpoint. So, anyway, I'm thinking about these things. So I thought I'd share them with you. Later. He just doesn't care about money. He just doesn't give a fuck about it. And that was the whole plan. The whole plan is to torpedo the whole system. That's your payoff for a hyper-religious episode, is to say, okay, I lost everything, now I'm piss broke, and at the end, not to say, well, I get paid a bunch of money, but what you're trying to do is you're trying to end the financial system. So you want the guy to also be an economist, economics guy, money and banking. Of course, he has to understand the entire system in terms of education, how it takes an individual from being close to God's perfect system, a child, and who's just exploring, it's like, oh, that's weird, there's a block, let me go look at it. Coincidence, like they just do it instinctually. From that to, we get broken down somewhere between, 14, this is why everyone hates high school, not everyone, but most people, 14 to like 18, and then you get to college and 18 to 22, you kind of like, you're still having a great time, but then you're starting to break down and then college is over and it's work time. And it's like now you're broken into the system. Maybe you'll go to graduate school. And I've seen that progress, not like in the classroom, but what happens behind closed doors, how families interact during that time, the stress the kid's under. It's like, well, I don't know, man, like I got to make money, so I guess I'll go study computer science instead of the drums. And just like that kind of shit, and then the depression or whatever. But to understand that piece, I mean, God's a fucking genius. Anyway, just wanted to share that. I hate when I make a long video, but